Hi, welcome to this video regarding Sensit All. So Sensit All is a platform from ZP that really allows people to realize minimally viable products or actual products really quickly. I think it's really important if you're going to develop a technology and you're going to try and commercialize it, you have to get it into the hands of real people, including clinicians, just really quickly. Otherwise, you don't get that user feedback and you kind of think you're developing something that the market wants and the market in fact doesn't want it. Now with Sensit All, it's all about speed to market, and what underpins that really is partly what underpins it is screen printed electrodes and the reproducibility of these screen printed electrodes. So let me cover that. So first of all, let me just touch upon those Sensit All. Sensit All is a very elegant hardware solution that can run electrochemical sensors. It can also run spectrochemical sensors. It's got a nice user interface, lovely LEDs to guide that kind of user experience. As I say, if the assay is optical, then we've got an optical platform, and if it's electrochemical, we have an electrochemical platform. So, you know, at least two modalities of sensing are covered in this. In this particular one, I'm showing you that, you know, we can add the sample to a screen printed electrode, and that's what I'm going to talk about in a minute, is screen printed electrodes. And if it's an optical assay, we can use something like a tube like this, where the optical or whether the electrochemical, the spectrochemical reaction takes place. So we've got two different pieces of hardware depending on what type of assay we're actually talking about, but there's only one app, and this is important because the app is what tells the hardware what to do. The app is also a conduit between the hardware and Julie. Julie is a cloud database system. I'll talk that we do several webinars on this every month. So if you're not clear what Julie is, I will emphasize to you that we do actually have webinars every month that will cover this as well. Julie will send the data to the cloud, and it will also get data back from the cloud to the app, so you can get the data on the phone in real time. And if you watch our webinars, you'll see how quickly this really takes place. These three videos that are playing at the moment, one of them emphasizes the hardware. There's a real elegance in the hardware that we can just put sensors in, click it shut. The other one is really just talking about the system, the system that is, that, you know, that we have hardware, sensors, cloud database, and the app, and how they all work together. And then the bottom video is actually just talking about the QR code system. So if you download Sensit All off the Android Play Store, and I really should have put a link, and maybe I can put a link to that underneath the video, then suddenly you have the capability of scanning a QR code, and it will reskin the app and change the method files and all, basically change all the sort of supporting code, so that it can now run a new type of sensor. So when it says Sensit All, it can actually mean that we can sense an awful lot of analytes using this technology. As I say, if you do come to one of our live streaming webinars on Sensit All, you will see us doing these real-time demonstrations, and it is real-time, you know, and we'll also see us moving between different assays in real time as well. So it's really kind of quite a robust platform. You can appreciate that. The fact is, we can just come online, do these live streaming webinars, and, you know, people can see that this some technologies, when they're in their infancy, kind of fall over quite quickly, but this is not that kind of technology. There is a webinar on the 13th of December, and I hope people can come to that. It's also worth saying that we've got a webinar on Julie on the 9th of November. I hope people can come to that. And then any links you see like this, we'll have a Julie webinar here, a Sensit All webinar, Food Sense webinar. Food Sense is essentially an application of Sensit All, so it's worth coming and having a look at that. We do have a whole series of pre-existing electrochemical sensors, and if you see that link jump up, you will find those. But the fact that we have those sensors means that you can be much quicker in applying those sensors into your application, but there's still always work to be done. So people say to us, oh, I want to detect glucose in urine, or I want to detect glucose, you know, in tear film. These are different applications, and each one of them does require an effort. So it's nice that we have sensors and we have hardware, but we still have to have a bit of a discussion about what the actual application is. What I want to emphasize today is about screen printed electrodes. When you watch videos about Sensit All and from ZP, you'll notice that we don't do in-field calibration. And that's because underlying all of this, we have a really nice series of electrodes, either carbon or platinum, with different configurations. Now, we will do webinars specifically on screen printed electrodes. So if you have a particular question about screen printed electrodes and their application into electrochemical assays and maybe into electrochemical biosensors, then please do contact us. And I will put the links here. But what makes our sensors really special is the reproducibility. So I will touch upon that. If you're still in an R&D phase, then there's a potentiostat that you potentially should be using. There's the screen printed electrodes themselves. There's a cable that you'll need between the potentiostat, and there's also a connector that you'll need as well. But I'm going to skip over that quite quickly and talk about the fact that we just released these 501s carbon and these 501 platinums. But what makes them really special at ZP is the reproducibility. So in this is one of the probably food sense demonstrations that we did, and what you'll notice in these demos. So if you want to see this for real, come to one of our live streaming food sense webinars. Is that there's no calibration. There's no two electrodes where we're trying to do a background subtraction. There's no calibration. And the fact is, the reason we get away with this is the reproducibility of the screen printed electrodes. So fundamental fact is Sensit All platform really relies on screen printed electrode reproducibility. And the reason we do this or we're able to do this is because we do a lot of really good manufacturing. We are ISO 13485, so we're very controlled, and we're also very controlled on the testing as well. So for example, we'll test every sheet, or we'll test sheets and make sure that they're within spec. This particular sheet, for example, would be rejected, and we often reject sheet 1, but then we would check sheet 2, sheet 6, sheet 18. So we're checking the manufacturing, and we can check across the batch. So I would call that sort of intra-batch checking. Now, there's a little bit of a rule of thumb that if you want an assay to work in the field without calibration, then you really have to have less than sort of 10% relative standard deviation, and you can see that we are below that. So we know what our standard deviation is across the manufacturing lot, and we also check batch to batch to batch, because we don't want our own products reliant on this reproducibility, and because our own products are reliant on this reproducibility, then you can also benefit from that as well. So if you just look at, this is some data when we were developing an assay. Each color represents a different concentration, and we were doing it in triplicate. But you can see that in the raw signal, the standard deviation is small, and that's because of the underlying screen printed electrode reproducibility. So if you're trying to make a product, either a minimally viable product or this is the product, then you really need a fundamentally reproducible screen printed electrode underneath that product, and that's why ZP is really emphasized on the quality and the reproducibility of those electrodes. So I've put a link here to some of those screen printed electrodes, but Sensit All is a platform to really achieve minimally viable product really quickly, but fundamentally you need to be building on a platform of screen printed electrodes that are fundamentally reproducible, and that's what ZP has developed. So if you have any questions about Sensit All or screen printed electrodes, don't hesitate to reach out to us. It's probably worth saying that we're going to be doing dedicated screen printed electrodes webinars starting this Friday. And as I say, if you've got any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Okay, thanks very much.